Some people say that realizing the self is difficult. But it is exquisitely natural and effortless. Truth is simple, but the seeker of truth is complex. We have been missing the obvious because we have been giving too much importance to what rises and falls inside our being. This is like seeing only the waves while missing the ocean itself. Truth is here. This is the power of self-inquiry. What was hidden is quickly exposed. What is genuine is revealed. It is so immediate in its impact that all that is unreal is brought up to the surface quickly. We see what we are attached to, whether or not there is resistance to change, and we uncover the hideouts of false identity. What need is there to advocate strenuous practices of such lengths of time when truth is ever present as our very own self? All that is required is that we recognize our real position as the ultimate witness. Even within presence, and even in the midst of the joy and freedom of self-realization, a soft alertness or vigilance to the varying schemes of the psychological mind continues. And so, if something were to arise that seems to veil our true nature, it is easily detected. If there is any avoidance, cleverness, or pretense, it will swiftly be rooted out. You will know what is real and permanent and be able to distinguish that timeless nature from what is transient. Self-inquiry is also a practice of sorts. Especially in the beginning, it requires steady determination, commitment, and a sense of responsibility to your own self. However, such practice is not felt as a burden but rather as a way to keep your witnessing fresh. Even as we begin to examine our beliefs about ourselves more deeply and thus come to the moment where we recognize that they are false, we somehow remain convinced that we are the person we think we are at any given point in time. Despite recognizing the changeful and unstable nature of identity, we all too often continue to identify with the mind, which thrashes about in the time-bound realm, analyzing the past in an attempt to be better prepared for the future. The step into oneness is the simplest step. You don't need a spiritual or religious background to take it. Be in your natural state. Be happy just to be in that feeling of being, not identifying with mental imagery or thoughts and without being located in time or confined to any particular shape. If you just stay like that, it eventually becomes effortless. The state of presence, the sense, I am, or I exist, is natural for everyone. No one needed to teach you this. When this sense, I am, combines itself or becomes associated with other states and ideas, it is as if those states become a part of what I am is. But they are not original to who we are. From a young age, we pick up many false assumptions about the world, about life, and about exactly who we are living life. The concept I am the body is the core belief we adopt very early on. Once we have accepted this basic I am the body concept as who we are, other concepts can now pour on top of it. And so a unique psychological identity forms. Mostly we assume that this identity is an unquestionable fact, and yet those acquired beliefs are not part of our original nature. We take ourselves to be a particular body with a unique personality, and this perspective remains with us as we live our lives. Taking this person identity to be true, we perceive ourselves as a separate entity in a world of many other separate entities and objects. But all that we refer to as being ours, our body, our mind, our emotions, is not what we are, essentially. Everything you can perceive comes and goes, including your own body. You are the one looking at time, objects, and even thoughts and emotions. Through the senses, you are able to observe everything that is perceived as life, as manifestation, as existence. And behind the eyes, in the realm of thought, emotion, and memory, these are perceived with the eyes of inner perception. Your sense of being a particular person is also perceived. Regardless of whether the object of perception is physical and can thus be measured for color, shape, and size, or whether what is being perceived is something more subtle like thought, feeling, and sensation, all are phenomena. It is the sense of I that perceives them. First, I must be there. The non-dual wisdom of Advaita invites you to find out for yourself what I really is, whether it is what you assume or imagine it to be. Most people have a strong sense of being individuals and hold the conviction that they determine their own experiences and are familiar with their own realities. That may be true to an extent, but it is only a lesser, relative truth. The greater truth is that you are the awareness within which the idea of yourself living a life and having awareness is appearing. In other words, that the person we take ourselves to be is an idea emerging in consciousness as an expression of consciousness. No, you don't. The problems of the mind cannot be solved on the level of the mind. Once you have understood the basic dysfunction, there isn't really much else that you need to learn or understand. You have already understood the basic mechanics of the unconscious state, identification with the mind, which creates a false self, the ego, as a substitute for your true self rooted in being. The ego's needs are endless. It feels vulnerable and threatened and so lives in a state of fear and want. Once you know how the basic dysfunction operates, there is no need to explore all its countless manifestations, no need to make it into a complex personal problem. The ego, of course, loves that. It is always seeking for something to attach itself to in order to uphold and strengthen its illusory sense of self, and it will readily attach itself to your problems. This is why, for so many people, a large part of their sense of self is intimately connected with their problems. Once this has happened, the last thing they want is to become free of them. That would mean loss of self. There can be a great deal of unconscious ego investment in pain and suffering. So once you recognize the root of unconsciousness as identification with the mind, which of course includes the emotions, you step out of it. You become present. When you are present, you can allow the mind to be as it is without getting entangled in it. Mind dysfunction sets in when you seek yourself in it and mistake it for who you are. It then becomes the egoic mind and takes over your whole life.